This video is to cover the mistake that was made in recording this, where a certain setting was not set. So this re-upload is to correct it. Well, it was potentially lost and should have been said. This shorter version is to address energy vampires and leeches. It helps to know by trying the spirits to know if they are of the Father. To know and prove they are legitimate and not just pretending. Because there are many pretenders out there, especially many antichrists, many anti-messiahs, anti-mashiachs, and the like, where they say they are of his or of him, that they derive of him or pertain to him, yet they are not, and will lead people, if possible, as many as possible, astray to judgment with them. And also, in the process, these individuals, instead of desiring the kingdom and doing the works that follow by submitting to the Father, so that the Father can use them, either they were not in the first place, or they turned from it. They seek their portion presently in this world, and in so submitting themselves to the flesh and the adversary, Hasatan, the devil. Instead of revering Yahweh Elohim and trusting and having faith and being patient to serve him through his son, Yeshua HaMashiach, otherwise known as Jesus Christ, and by the other references of title such as Yahusha, Yahawashai, and so forth, for the many dialects of Hebrew, and referring to the Father, Son, these individuals to enjoy, strengthen, and keep their position as long as possible in this present world, to enjoy the present gain for a brief amount of time as long as possible, especially to increase it, guard it, amass it, they go so far as to employ and use and do many deceptive, false, and counterfeit practices and doings and so forth, to entice, allure, persuade, and pull as many people in as possible to try to deceive them and even use them up too. With their many methods of pretending, fronting, and faking it, they will go so far that if it were possible to try to deceive the very elect, especially with lying signs and wonders. So in doing so, if they can deceive the lower individuals, the elect, as well as everyone else, as much as possible, What they'll do is, if they can present themselves in a spiritual front as well as a social front to convince others that they are reliable, trustworthy, and to be received by any shape, fashion, form, even validated, without proving and trying, even testing them first to know if they are legitimate or not. They try to persuade as many more as possible to open themselves up to, even in when they give praises, to open up others by doing the same thing as they are doing too, and giving praises. As well as ingrained in doctrine, even twisted, distorted, and corrupted, and polluted, false doctrine, heresy, apostasy, hypocrisy, and so forth. Whatever they can do to squeeze in an inch. And they love to have it so. They love to so-called minister, service themselves that way. In the effort that they can work their works of darkness and falsehood and such to drain people of their souls, their spirits, to leave them walking around dull, blank, and lacking in life like zombies while they're over there just full and vibrant of all the energy and power they have been draining and leeching out of others, to where they appear as righteous, moral, excellent, of quality, appearance, and so forth, but underneath, after especially being proven, tried and tested, that religious front, that pretending, that acting goes out the window, and what's really underneath that whitewash shows itself. All that dead men bones and all that uncleanness from all that pretending to conceal what they are about. Because with them, if they can destiny swap with people, to destiny swap them, as well as to steal their energy, steal their opportunities, steal their gifts, skills, talents, and abilities, to turn around and counterfeit it, even to try to gain it, pollute it, corrupt it, defile it, to make a counterfeit and even their own version of it, especially to go so far as to gain their energy, the elect and everyone else evolved it to, that they can get a hold of and effect. They will try to enslave them directly or indirectly. And that includes putting them in cult-like environments, or at least having them to go out there and do what they're going to do to get their gains and have it handed to them. Especially if they are operating by seducing spirits and putting up a strong religious front and using their spiritual power to appear as if they are legitimate, but they've been working high levels at counterfeit, pretending, and deceiving as much as possible. So no one would consider testing, proving, and trying them to see if they're legitimate or they're false. And when they can keep people deceived, they will even reach into their finances. So one way or another, They're going to try to use spiritual power, especially great swelling words of vanity, deceptive speech, and so forth, and sound so good when they talk. Words smoother than curds, and quote even the scriptures, quoting the scriptures and saying things that sound right and sound agreeable, and even trying to use the scriptures in such a way to where even though they're quoting the scriptures, they mean it the wrong kind of way, especially with the wrong thought and intent too, especially with the wrong goal and communication to present, to lead people into error in the wrong way in different forms, wherever they can do to get into your pockets, as well as to get into your souls, to get involved in affecting your souls, your energy, even your spirit, to trouble you, whether you know it or not. And they may even employ different type of evil spirits and demons to give them abilities and skills and such, even information about you, your personal life, your destiny, your gifts, skills, talents, abilities, what you're seeing, hearing, especially how you process thought, whatever comes to your thoughts, to try to give it to them, to inform them if they can, so they can go to work on you and try to persuade you that they too are also about the faith, when they are using familiar spirits, monitoring spirits, divination, and such, to allure you, to pull you in, to make you think they are prophetic, spiritual, and such. And when you see their spiritual fruits, their actions, how they really are, especially if you test and try and prove them, you will find out how far deep they have invested themselves in to work in the counterfeit, to deceive you and try to pull you in and keep you hooked, keep you ensnared, and keep you locked in, so that they can do whatever they can to completely empty you out and search even your very thoughts, to try to read your thoughts, to keep you in bondage to them, so that they can prosper in this present world before they pass away and go off back from the dust they came from and be held guilty, judged on the greater level for the evils they have done and caused and damages to others. So these individuals, they may have been given the opportunity and time to choose, as well as to stay with the Father, and they have chosen otherwise, even seeking to choose to gain finances, position, power over people, places, and things, and doing whatever they can to keep people listening to them for their own validation, for their own desires, to deceive them, to keep them following after them, as well as to empty them out, to control them, to advance themselves the more so, to appear as if they're being benefited, increased, and helped, but the whole time they've been stealing, taking, and cheating people financially, as well as through services, wealth, objects, and whatever means they have managed to acquire physically, but also spiritually, robbing and emptying out others too, out their destinies, their goals, their gains, their benefits, and what they have received, even gifts, skills, talents, and abilities, wherever they can do to work some high level manipulation, counterfeit, pollution, defilement, and the such to affect others, to cause them to go lower and lower, while they increase and continue to climb up before they eventually have to decline or fall down altogether when they are judged. And in doing so, they spend the remainder of their time wasting it to eventually lose what they have gained in this world when they cross over, and they cannot take it with them. And they have to give an account for all the damages and evils they have done unto others, especially those who are in the faith. So such, they should have known better, and they should have had faith to know that the straight and narrow path is the only way to take to get into the kingdom, to the sheep's gate that leads into life. Yet they chose otherwise, as well as those who are mentioned and not mentioned, and all together with them, who want to go down that path with them too, not knowing that they are supplying them, strengthening the hands of the wicked, and giving up themselves even the wrong kind of ways, to where it will be required of them too if they do not repent. So in closing, you have to try and improve these individuals, especially when they present themselves very spiritual, even to the point where you start to experience things in your life, to know if they are out the folder or they're running a serious scam, deception, or seeking to pull a 180 on you to flip the script, to where 1 minute they would be operating by certain gifts, and when the opportunity arises, they switch the other, they do a 180, and they become and operate in being evil. So where someone would be a prophet or evangelist, they would turn around, and be projecting, speaking curses and demons, and all sorts of evil, trying to bring evil into the lives of others. They will seek to persecute, harvest, drain, and even gain out their finances, to waste them, use them up, and make themselves seem as if they're the one where people have to listen to receive of the good, as if they're the one giving the message, when they were not the ones giving the message, but trying to present themselves as the minister, when they've gone down the wrong path and they are not the father's minister either at all, or they discontinued from being his minister. So even if they no longer, because they have chosen the way of Cain and so forth, to go to the path of perdition, to where they're going to gain out of this world at the expense of others, and take as many down as possible with them too, persuading them and deceiving them, putting them to underneath a strong delusion to be disobedient, reprobate, and to go off into judgment for their wrongdoings, to take as many down as possible with them, and to use them up before they go into the due punishments, the due judgment that's allotted for them. So with such, it helps to know by experience who they are, especially in person, so that you can prove whether they be in the faith and even out the faith as well too. That way you do not get deceived, have things happen to you, and even lose your finances and whatever taken from you by some high-level religious hoaxsters, con men, frauds, and the such. And all these other malicious individuals out there who are seeking to destroy the righteous and seeking to abort and even come against and try to fight against the plan of the Father for His word to come back unto Him complete, and His will be done here on earth as it is in the Shemayim, in the heavens, in the heaven. That His name be glorified and be made great at the conclusion of the matter.